YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Attila, and of course this time we're going to take a look at the last faction that is offered in the Longbeards culture pack, and it is the Langobards, and another Germanic tribe in the north. So all of these guys have very close starting positions, and as with the other tribe, and if you look, their starting position is actually easy. So I think one of the neat things about this culture pack is you have the Langobards who start as an easy position, Allemans are hard, and the Burgundians are normal. So you kind of get like a little bit of a mix of different challenges with the pack, which is kind of cool from a campaign standpoint. I haven't gotten to play through campaign with them yet, so I can't quite tell you what their start is just like. I mean, this is brand new, so again, they have the New Kingdoms cultural trait, which is already present on the Saxons and the Franks, just the quicker building conversion. And then you have their faction trait as Godin's Chosen, which the Emancipator's ability here doubles unit replenishment when taking on troops post-battle. That is pretty cool, which means these guys are going to be able to get out, put the herd on some big armies, retrain a lot of their troops, and quickly move on. Then you have the Fury of our Maker's Hand, which is plus 10 morale when fighting against armies of other religions, which is also a very solid boost, especially if you're pushing against the Romans or maybe those who have like the Celtic paganism or something else. So going to be very interesting as the Langobards in campaign. So potentially a very interesting faction here. So definitely going to be curious to see how they play in to campaign, and who knows, maybe I'll play one eventually with one of these factions. I'm going to let you all do a vote soon on what comes next after the Sassanids. I don't think we're too far off from the minor victory that we were planning with the Sassanids, and to be quite honest, the Sassanid minor victory is probably as far as we need to go. They're an easier faction, and I want to try and move on to some more challenging ones for you all as well. So they are similar, like a base German faction, kind of like the other German factions in the game. And let's start from what makes them unique. What makes them unique is melee infantry. The Langobards do not get unique skirmishers or cavalry like or spears like you saw in the other factions. They are unique in the melee infantry department, and they do have some interesting offerings. Now, these Langobard clubmen are not very good offensively, but from a defense standpoint, they have pretty solid armor and melee defense and health, and their morale leaves a little bit to be desired, but they have the shield wall ability, which is going to give them extra shield defense and a bonus versus infantry, both to their damage and their attack. Now, none of that's real stellar, but it just means that these guys are going to be able to tank an unusual amount of damage, I think, for their price, which is potentially useful for holding. And then you're going to have these horse hewers here, which are a very unique unit for the Langobards. It is a light melee infantry, so they're quick, and they are also very good against cavalry. How good against cavalry? Well, you can see they have 32 melee attack and weapon damage. Let's see if any of it's armor piercing. Not much. But here's where the story gets a little more interesting still. If you open them up here in the encyclopedia, which I am doing, I hope you can see the encyclopedia. I never thought about that in the other videos. So here they are in the encyclopedia. We should be able to tell here. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, good. Tabbed out. So they have 40 attack versus cavalry. 40. That's a boost to melee and damage. So that means that effectively these guys have 72 melee attack and 76 melee damage with a 60 charge bonus versus cav. Now, there's a few very key things to remember here about these units. If you look, they are low armor and pretty low melee defense, and their health is none too stellar. So what this means is that getting charged by cavalry is still going to be bad. You don't want that to happen. They do have frenzied charge, which makes them unbreakable, and gives them a little bit of a charge bonus boost and speed and everything whenever they're charging. That's potentially nice. It is going to give you a fatigue penalty, but I mean, these guys are probably going to get pretty tired chasing after horses anyway. Hard to say whether that's worth it. They do have campaign stealth, which means they can be used to ambush because they have guerrilla deployment, which is also very nice. So you can deploy these guys in such a way as to try and keep them close to where a cavalry fight might happen. And again, though, do not get them charged unbraced, and preferably not even while they're braced by cavalry. It's not going to go well. Using these guys to charge into a cavalry fight that's already started is going to show them, or to show you how they shine. When these guys get into a cavalry fight that's already started, and maybe even force a cavalry unit to retreat, they are going to get massive kills. Retreating away from these guys is going to be very detrimental to even some of the heaviest, most powerful cavalry units. But again, they are very fragile to missiles and very fragile to cavalry charges. They do get to ignore terrain, which means they maintain their speed, which is good, and of course they can hide and even scrub. And they're resistant to fatigue, so they'll last a little longer without getting tired. So a very interesting unit. And we'll just go ahead and skip over here too and show you that they have Horse Slayers, which is a more elite version. These guys get a little more melee attack to start with, and basically get more health, and their melee defense is considerably better while maintaining a good charge, albeit a little improved. Speed is the same, morale is increased, and their health is increased some. So for only 100 talents more, that's probably a worthwhile spend. And would upgrades be worth it on these units? Probably not, because they already get so much boost versus cavalry, but that's something I'll let someone else figure out. But the Horse Slayers, again, are going to serve the same purpose as the Horse Skewers. Charge them into a cavalry fight that's already happening, use them to ward off enemy cavalry, because if the cavalry retreats from them, they're going to get a lot of kills while it's disengaging. Do not let them get charged. That ought to give you a nice basic view of these two units. Very unique units, nothing else like them in the game, which is going to give the Langobards a little bit of a unique feel. Then they have these Young Wolves, which is a light melee infantry. They have terrible armor, but a good block chance, so apparently carrying a nice shield. And then they have poor armor piercing damage, but what they lack there, they make up for in price and offensive power. These guys are not going to last long in a fight of well-armored defensive heavyweights, but they can cause some damage if used properly. Getting them charged by cavalry will be instant death. They do scare everybody, though, which is very nice. So being able to scare everybody and being immune to fear means that they can potentially be used to try and cause chain routes. They have rapid advance, which could potentially help them get around a flank faster too, to do some outflanking with the fear effect. Could potentially be very handy, but be careful. Again, these guys are kind of a glass cannon. They are very cheap, which is their main benefit. Access to noble Germanic swords like all these other factions, which provides kind of a sturdy baseline, albeit not a very offensive one. And then the other units that they have are kind of interesting. You have these scaled clubmen, which are basically an upscaled version of the 350 talent counterparts, the Langobard clubmen. So slightly better stats on these guys, much better health actually at 147, very solid armor, and pretty good melee defense, also with shield wall. These guys are meant to tank damage from enemy units. So if you get them in a fight, they are going to do well at tanking damage if they're in their shield wall. Now you probably still don't want them getting charged by like Thracian warriors or Uars, or the other guys may not be good, but they can tank out some damage. They're not going to dish it out, is going to be the important thing to know, because of their low charge bonus, melee damage, and melee attack. These are defensive units for holding line, and I'm guessing that they probably have a nice block chance as well. Yep, 50% missile block chance, quite nice. And then if you go into the shield wall, it's going to increase that by another 25. So very nice block chance on these guys. So interesting unit as well. Now we're going to look at two other unique units melee-wise that the Langobards have access to. One is the Godin's Men. These guys are actually Berserkers if you look here. They do have the ability to go Berserk, and this is interesting. So it's a pretty cheap Berserker unit compared to what we've seen in the game so far, and they are at a full 120 men. As would be expected with a Berserker unit, these guys have a bad missile block chance and fairly low armor. It's not really low, but it's low. So it's something to be aware of. They're going to get killed by skirmishers, basically. But their melee attack and damage is pretty darn sturdy for the price you pay, with a decent charge bonus. They also have the scare effect, which could be potentially useful. Now, and they also have Frenzy in case you need to boost your attack temporarily, but remember that it comes with a fatigue penalty, so maybe even better to use this once they're already tired. Berserk is interesting, and I don't know if this is supposed to happen, or if it happened in Rome too. I never noticed it, but when an enemy goes berserk, or when your unit goes Berserk, it's bad because you can't control them, but it's actually quite good because they actually go back to fresh and impetuous on their morale, so they basically fight to the death and don't get tired. So that's where these units are going to be handy. If they get into a fight, start tearing in, get a little bit tired, but then go Berserk, then they're going to actually start to shine because the enemy unit's going to be tired and these guys just came back to fresh. Again, though, they're going to be very vulnerable to cavalry charges and archers, crossbows, all those type of things. So that's their downside, but not too forbidding price-wise. And then you've got Godin's Chosen here. These are an even more expensive Berserker unit with much stronger melee attack, much stronger. A better charge, very nice melee defense, and again, decent armor for a Berserker unit, but they're going to still have a poor missile block chance. At 108 morale, though, these guys are going to fight to the utter bloody death. That is a massive morale. And of course they still maintain that ability to go to Berserk, which means that they would become fresh again. This unit's very expensive. I don't know how they perform yet against other enemy infantry. I would think you probably still don't want them in a battle against two-handed axemen, and I cannot look in the game files to see whether either of these units has a bonus versus infantry. If someone knows, I'm sure they'll leave it in the comments, but it's just something to be aware of with these guys. I don't know how they play out quite yet, but an interesting unit nonetheless. That is the only other unique units that are possessed by the Langobards. Nothing else that they have is a unique unit. So they are completely focused, uniquely speaking, in melee infantry. As far as other strengths that they do have, again, Germanic crossbows, Germanic archers, and you're going to have access to Germanic horsemen, all of which are quite nice, and Germanic lancers. So I think that the Langobards are going to have a very interesting faction to use here. And in fact, let's go use them in a quick battle and see how I do. We'll try and use some of their unique units here. Alright, see if we can get a match. It's actually snowing outside a lot today, so very appropriate day for me to be at home and trying out the new Longbeard pack, since all these guys come from kind of the cold north. Captain America, I like it. He's going to be the Huns, and I am going to go ahead and choose the Langobards. And we'll say hello. I like his name there. And we are not playing in the swamp for once. We're playing on the Pyrenees. So this ought to be fun. So as far as the Huns go, that's... I would have to be careful of Ur warriors. Not something that I look forward to. They're going to be tough to deal with. So I'm almost thinking about taking a line of these cheap clubmen to absorb some damage from the Urs, and then back them up with some more elite infantry. But let's go ahead and stack out our Germanic horsemen. This is going to be the undoing of the Huns. These horsemen are really quite good. Throw a few upgrades on here just to make sure they're beast. We're going to grab a few Germanic archers. And now we have some money left. Let's get some Godin's men. These guys can back up the clubmen in the fight. And these noble swordsmen will be good for tanking up a little extra damage as well. So let's upgrade our Godin's men with what little money we have left. So we'll go ahead and drop a couple of shoves there. So give them a little more attack. Don't know if that'll really be good in the end or not. And I'm going to go with the Brace General, whether or not that does me any good either. So here we go. Huns versus Langobards. The Urs are going to be my main worry. Not really concerned about anything else that the Huns can throw at me here. Maybe I should be, I don't know, but we'll find out. And it also is going to depend on how my opponent plays again and how I play. So all gonna be interesting. So I like this map, Pyrenees. I keep trying to accidentally use homeworld controls on Total War now because I'm trying to play both games, and oh man, it's hard enough for me to control things as is. So let's see. I actually like the 3D camera better in Total War than I do in Homeworld, but it's a little bit different scenario since it takes place in space. Alright, infantry line. Cheap clubmen with shield wall up front to tank out charges. Long-range bowmen right behind them to draw in our attackers, hopefully. Put them on flaming. And then we will put our two noble swordsmen again behind here because they can tank some damage in the center. Put our general behind them, and then we'll put some Godin's men a little further out on the flank, not way out because I don't want them getting charged. And then we will just go with some Germanic horsemen on the flanks. These guys are really very nice cavalry in the current state of the game. And let's keep some cavalry in the center and just kind of see what my opponent has and what he does. Let's take these guys off fire at will so that I can choose their targets effectively. And we'll get things started. Very spread out Hun army in front of me. Looks like he's got some Lancer Cav and some Horse Archers. Unless something big has changed about Horse Archers, I don't expect them to be effective. Hunnic mounted bows. Their speed is quite good. so I'm not going to be able to chase them down with heavy horsemen. But his lancers, or steppe cataphracts, I should be able to kill them quite easily if I just get into a wedge with my Germanic horsemen. So, and basically what my goal is going to be is just disrupt the crap out of his warriors, and his bows, I don't see them really posing a major threat to me, especially if I kind of tighten up my formation a little here, where he has to get in closer to my 200 range Germanic bows. I'm going to put these guys in an unlocked group just so I can select them a little easier. He's going to go for a surround on me with the horse archers. It's fine. I really don't expect the horse archers to cause a whole lot of damage to me. He's keeping one lancer unit here, and then he's got his steppe chieftain. So those are the only things that could really stop my Germanic cav from ripping him a new one head on. And just so you knows, I do intend to try and rip him a new one head on. Yeah, not worried about his horse archers. He has them way out on the flanks now as well. Do our warriors... I don't know if they have a good block chance. We're about to find out. Okay. I'm going to come through the center with some Germanic horsemen. It's going to be a little slow because I'm going through my own men. His spears are spread way too thin to actually brace versus this. He's got a nice charge coming in here that's going to hurt me badly, but we can make him pay for it. Okay, we destroyed a bunch of his spearmen.
The enemy is going for our general. Protect him.
I got into a braced formation here, and I'm going to take out his lancers, now trap them. His horse archers are no large concern to me. I'll turn around and fire at one of them. They're not causing hardly any damage. Yeah. He did manage to kill a couple of my units though with his charges, but we're gonna kind of slow down the charge of his Uars, I think. He's using flaming arrows, which is not bad. Let's pull our Germanic horsemen back out of here. Let our clubmen go ahead and tank out the damage in the center. One of his horse archers is being driven back here. And we're just going to swing around and start charging his Uar warriors because now he's lost his...
It's an ambush.
The clubmen actually withstood that Uar charge quite nicely. I'm just going to keep some Germanic horsemen in the back. I'm going to use these broken units to come around. Just block guys off, charge the Uar warriors in the back. Actually, we need to get away here. And we need to get free of this fight again over here. Let's pull back from that. And we're going to come around and try... we actually broke through in the center. And we just got a break over here too. So I've got one flank broken right now. Let's turn these horsemen around so they have a better block chance. Charge into those Uars. Charge into these Uars. The Hun chieftain's coming in, which could potentially be dangerous. Let's target him with our bows. Got a really nice charge on those Uar warriors. They are going to get wrecked thoroughly. These units are berserk, so I can't control them. That's one of the downsides. Let's refocus. Or actually, we need to take these guys on here. Not worried about losing my archers at this point. As you can see, the horse archers are not really paying dividends per se for the Huns at this point. I am firing a lot into the Hun general though. See if we can kill him. I haven't done spectacular in this battle, but we've survived so far. Just gonna get around these spearmen. Keep firing at the Hun general. And just really try hard to get these Uars out of the fight. If we do that, we'll be safe. He's killing my cav back here, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave my steppe archers open and charge these Uars. His infantry center's about to be finished.
Cowards! The enemy general is fallen.
Enemy general's dead. About to rear charge these Uars. This is a closer fight than I wanted it to be, but some of the struggles for the Huns are clear here. He brought the standard Uar warriors, which are definitely a little harder probably to use. He's got quite a bit of ammo left, but I have nice long-range Germanic archers left as well. But I mean, he has quite a bit of ammo. We're gonna have to be careful.
Our forces have found their courage.
Okay,
Back to the fight.
just routed another horse archer off the field. Let's get a little more defensive over here. He says GG. GG indeed. It was fun. So this is where those Germanic archers gonna pay dividends. Decent ammo and nice range and damage for the price. It's where the horse archers are gonna struggle. These guys just not causing a lot of damage. He's got some Uars coming in over here that are gonna need to be ganged up on.
Our men are breaking off.
He still has quite a bit of ammo left with his horse archers. Charging in, though, is not what he's going to want to do. He could potentially still win this if my general dies, because I'm getting a lot of wavering, but we're going to trap his horse archers here. And if he charges my archers at this point, there's no... Oh, these guys all routed, so no, we're good. We got him. He tried to make a close battle out of it. That was good. So, just go ahead and save that. Anyway, that was the Langobards in action. Let's see how some of my units performed. Obviously, my micro not perfect. Germanic Cav obviously carrying the day for me. Getting a lot of kills, even considering that I let one of them sat there and get shot by horse archers just as a deterrent. These Godensmen did quite well, whereas this one that got charged by Lancers obviously absolutely crushed. So you can see the Godensmen have potential. The clubs did a fantastic job at tanking out the charge from his Uars, and you can see that his Uars capable of killing 219 there, but some of them getting very depressing kills because they got hit by my Germanic Cav. Steppe Cataphracts, the ones that got kills, their kills were on my Godensmen here, and he may have killed one other unit with them. Noble Germanic Swordsmen didn't do all that great either, but again, the amount of damage that these Langobard clubmen tanked out was really what I had hoped for. Germanic archers doing very well in this fight. Got rid of some of his horse archers and just killed the enemy general, who only ended up getting 20 kills. So that definitely very, very handy performance on the part of the Langobards, and just being able to bring a lot of units. You can see how it was a struggle for the Huns to bring as many units. And then just from a cavalry standpoint, they just can't defend themselves well from this Germanic horseman. So hope you all enjoyed this. So the Langobards definitely going to provide you with some infantry hitting power. My only question would be, is that really what you want in a state of Attila where horses are the business? But since they have Germanic horsemen, I think the Langobards still come into the fray and do okay. May not have been a bad idea for me to throw in a unit of young wolves and try some of that same type of scare tactic. Some of the Hun units probably had scare abilities as well. I'm guessing they did. Let's see. I think that Hun chieftain... No, the Steppe chieftain doesn't have it. It's the Steppe warlord who gets it. Or actually, it's also the Hunnic warlord. So the Steppe warlord and Hunnic warlord both get it. Hunnic spears, or Steppe spearman's what he used. A decent spear unit, not great. And then here's the Uar warriors, very strong from an offensive standpoint. And I don't remember what kind of horse archers he brought. I didn't really look. But as you can see, all the horse archers, I mean, they come with a nice amount of ammo, which is great. And they have pretty good missile damage even on some of these too. But and these guys actually have Parthian shot, so potentially useful here. 100 speed, Parthian shot. So I wouldn't say all horse archers are out, but these ones, say for instance, that don't have Parthian shot, not so much. These Hunnic mounted bows could potentially be useful, but a lot of these very expensive Hun bows out here are definitely not worth it. Some of them come with redonkulous amounts of ammo, but again, no Parthian shot. Check that out. So it scares things, has a lot of ammo, but can't Parthian shot. So that's really something you got to take care of. So see, this one does have Parthian shot, but very little ammo, because it's more of a mix of melee cav and capturing and all that kind of stuff. So the Hun roster is probably great for campaign, but needs some help in multiplayer if they're going to be really competitive. But we're not here to talk about the Huns. Hopefully that gives you a good look at the Longbeards culture pack. You've seen all three factions now. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, of course, about the cultures in this pack, the units, what I think, all that kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. I'll answer your questions so that you know whether or not it's something you want. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.